As I presented now up to this point, the general overview of the dream, I think I'll go into some specific questions that I've received from students and audience members from various lectures that I've given. One question that's come up commonly, actually a two-part question. What about dreaming about somebody who appears to you in the dream who has already died? Well, there are a number of possibilities. You certainly have to hear the context of the dream and what the dream is about. There also may be a dream that's told to you in which you dream about somebody who's about to die, who is still alive but dies in the dream. For example, I dreamt about the death of my father 3 days before he died. What do you do in that case? To answer both questions in a sense, what's necessary is that first you have to hear the context of the dream, what the dream is about, always looking at what the overall situation is in the dream. It has to be within the context of what the dream states. In the ancient Western tradition, it says that the dead come to heal the living. This means that the dead can come to us and give us answers about our life situation, our well-being, our direction to take in life, and so on. You may be missing that person. You may be getting depressed. You may be having thoughts about dying yourself. There may be a quality of that person you find is dying in you. All of that is possible. Remember, I said that everybody you meet in a dream is at first a quality of you. You may find a quality in you that's disappearing and leaving you, which is also to the good in most situations. All this is possible in the single dream image. And so, all this being said, it's valuable to re-enter the dream in waking life, meet that person, and ask for a message or the message that he or she has for you. You can imagine yourself going back into the dream, closing your eyes, and re-entering the dream and meeting that person and asking for whatever it is that you need. Another question about a dream in which you're dreaming about somebody who's currently alive, but in the dream dies. In that situation, you have to know your immediate emotional response in the dream. If your response is anxiety or worry or fear or any of those distressing emotions, this is not a portentous dream. It's not about someone that person is going to die. If your response is neutral to that person, a loved one who you're very close to, but your response is neutral, it is an omen. It is an indication that it's a precognitive dream and that person shall be dying. What do you do? My take on it is to leave it alone. There's nothing you can say to that person, and this is something that's come to you. It's different, for example, from the dream of Joseph in the Bible. In the Bible, he's put in jail for an act that he didn't commit, but nevertheless, in jail, he's met by the butler and the baker who have been jailed, who are the servants to the Pharaoh. They come to him and ask him about a dream that each of them has had. And as he is then asked, he then must tell them the truth of how he understands the dream. So he tells one of them that that person will be dead in 3 days, because the number 3 appeared in both dreams, and tells the other one that in 3 days you will be back in the employ of the Pharaoh. So there's a different story because you haven't been asked in the dream that you dream of someone close to you dying. When you've not been asked, you don't say, because it can be a terrible, catastrophic thing to tell somebody that you've had a portentous dream that you'll be dead. So you leave it alone. If you're asked about a dream that somebody has brought to you, that's a different story, as I just mentioned. Another question has come up, what about nightmares? What about a dream that you've had recurrently, oftentimes from childhood, not necessarily so, but commonly, that keeps finding its way into your dream life experience? The first thing you do is go back into the dream, as I mentioned earlier, for the other situation, and correct the situation. This is an imaginal experience of going back into the dream life, bringing with you whatever you need or whatever is necessary to correct the nightmare, to turn it around, to reverse it, to change it. A number of people that I've done this with have found that their nightmare situation has disappeared in their lives and have never had another recurrent nightmare, and never, to my knowledge, to this point, have had another nightmare experience. So you can change it around. You can reverse it and turn it, to correct it, to shift it, to repair it. This is a form of mental imagery work that I've taught for over 40 years. So a man came to see me named Steve, who had a nightmare about his dead German shepherd coming back to life and terrorizing his home. So this was a current nightmare situation. So to correct the image, Steve would close his eyes, breathe out slowly 3 times, counting backwards from 3 to 1, each out-breath of the respiratory cycle being a new number, out, in, out, in, out, in, and then find himself entering back into the dream and correcting the situation that had been difficult. That is, it turns out differently. So you can reverse the memory or the experience of the situation, not necessarily that we're talking about changing the fact of a situation, but the recall of it, or how it's remembered, or how you experience your attitude toward it can be turned around. Because there's always been a long-standing unresolved instinctual issue at the base of the nightmare, there's a fundamental error that can be corrected. It's your own instinctual experience that's coming to the forefront. Something that's come as a distressing impulse, a distressing feeling that is usually in the realm of anger or fury, an impulse to hurt or to go beyond hurting to wherever else that may take you. That's at the base of the nightmare. So you'll find that by correcting the inner, you will provide a correction for your outer life. Take care of the inner, and it's translated into a shift in your outer life experience. In doing this corrective work, we recognize that it can take up to 3 weeks to break this habit. This is based on a intuition of the ancient world, that the biological rhythmicity of this biological life that was observable first and foremost through the female menstrual cycle, essentially showed the ancients that it takes up to 3 weeks to break a habit. This has been shown by research that's taken place at the University of Texas in the late 20th century, where in their experimental psychology department found that there was changes in habits of animal behavior within a 21-day period of giving them the possibility of a new direction to take in their instinctual life. In doing the correction work, in Steve's situation, it took as one single event of correcting the nightmare to make a change in his experience in the everyday life with his children. His children had a dog. They loved the dog. There was nothing to be afraid of concerning the dog, but it had to be something about his feelings toward his children that were emerging that he was trying to gain charge of. And he was having a difficult time coping with these 3 young children and their behavior and so on, and that they didn't meet the image he had of them and how he was going to deal with them. In the nightmare work that I've done, it often has taken one experience, just as Steve's, even if it's been long-standing, if it's come from early life and it's a recurrent theme, it often takes just one correction in the way that I've explained it to you for it to be resolved. I'd like to come back to quality, the nectar principle, that form follows function, that quality births the quantity. When you look into the inner mirror of the dream, you're seeing a quality that you, in many cases, that you've denied in yourself, that you've had, that's come out of hiding, so to speak, by seeing it reflected back to you in the inner mirror. It's revealed itself to you in the light of your inner being. It's come to you so that you can take care of it now. You need to embrace this quality because this is a quality of you, not to deny it or turn away from it or make it alien to you. The more you make things alien to you, the more restrictive your life becomes, and the more rigid you become in your life, and closed off to life experience. You need to embrace it and acknowledge it as a quality of yourself, which means that you begin to enact that quality over a period of 3 weeks without regard for the consequences. That is, in your everyday life experience, you do or enact or act that particular quality. So, for example, a woman came to me who was finding that she was being cheated in her everyday life experience by many different people in her life. The greengrocer, the superintendent, a boyfriend, all kinds of things came up in which they were cheating her in one way or another. I recommended that she cheat consciously, without regard for the consequences, them. And she said, but I'm not that way. It's not easy for me to carry this out. And I said to her, was there a time in your life that you cheated? And as I posed that to her, she suddenly reflected that when she was from the age of 4 to 6, she was cheating her friends constantly. Her mother discovered it and punished her. And she took the position, I mustn't do that anymore. I'll be punished. That's not me. I can't see myself that way anymore. I have to tamp it down. I have to tame it so that it doesn't come to the surface anymore. So she didn't really embrace it. She pushed it away to make it alien. But now, in order for you to achieve balance with regard to the quality, you have to take it on so that it becomes part of the overall essence of your being, of the overall possibilities of your life. All that you push away from you makes your life that less open. So she did that and did it for a 21-day period, because we've understood that it takes about 21 days or up to 21 days to change a habit. When you do this, then instead of denying the quality, bring it into the forefront, into the openness of your being, and begin to take it on. Then you're able to find a direction toward unity, because as you do this, you become balanced. And as you become balanced, you become sober, and you're then able to make decisions and choices that are even-handed for yourself, and that are come into the clear discernment and clarity of your inner light, and you're able to know how to proceed in your life experience. When you bring these denied parts to yourself and begin to embrace them and take them on, you find that you're feeling in yourself more integrated, more whole, and happier, more contented, more harmonious, and you begin the process of embracing yourself. You can begin taking charge of your inner state of being, something that you've yearned for, something that you've been trying to find in many different ways that you have searched in your life. Taking charge of your inner state of being like this is providing change that you've created for yourself in your life in a way that's health-giving and whole and integrated. So you want to put yourself in order and take an action based on your dreams. The dream tells us about the future. They indicate to us what's coming. If we can learn to read our dreams as the inner hieroglyphic language, we can understand what's going on in our lives in a way that's been different from however we've been able to look at it up to the present time. We're not talking about logical analysis when we say that the dream is telling us about all of these points that I've been covering. They disclose, they reveal. So you'll dream about something and they'll say, gee, I had a dream about my mother. She was doing such and such and I called her and that happened. Ah, so there's a dream that shows a portent of the future. Well, you should know that you will dream about somebody who you're emotionally connected to in a portentous way. To whom we are bonded brings us closer to them, and they make their appearance to us in our dream world, because that closeness takes place outside of time and space, so that we are really connected with each other in a very unitary and oneness way. We are able to, in our life experience, to transcend the time-space world, to communicate in a way that goes beyond the cause and effect existence of this horizontal reality. The physical world is the world of linear time, of past, present, and future. It's a world of three-dimensional space. These two elements put us into a relationship to each other which permits us to communicate through this language that I'm speaking in now called the exoteric language. The world beyond time and space, outside of time and space, we're able to become close to each other, not by the verbal language, but by a communicated language that is not bounded by time and space, such as the dream, or telepathic communication, extrasensory perception, intuition, psychic phenomena. The physical world is the man-made world. It's man's created world. The world beyond time and space, such as the world of dream, is the God-created world, the divinely created world. The God-made world is a world of invisibility that is made visible as the dream demonstrates. It comes to us in a way that we call a vertical reality. It's transmitted from above, if you will, from above below. Whereas the horizontal world in which we live with each other is transmitted to each other on one plane, on one horizontal plane. Once the invisible world is made visible to us, and we make it visible in our own daily life experience through processes such as imagination and will, used in the way to take charge of your own reality, making your inside outside, it becomes the work of magic. The dream is essentially a magical phenomenon because it's coming from an inside realm, an inner realm, another world, and you're taking this to you as a message to inform your everyday life. And when you inform your everyday life by this inner experience, that's a magical act. From inside to outside is magic. The dream then, in effect, is our message is coming from another reality, another world that exists in consciousness. There is no personal subconscious or unconscious. That psychological notion puts us in the center of things as though we are reflecting on something that is inherent to us. No, we are a product of consciousness, and we are always in the connection and a close connection to consciousness, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, or to realize it or not. Consciousness is everything, and we are here to explore consciousness, to find out about ourselves, to come to a recognition of our place in the world, our meaning and purpose, and as an exploration of self-knowing, to know why we're here and to know ourselves. If we were to be in a dark room, for example, and it was pitch black, we couldn't see anything. And if I give you a pen light and you turn it on, you may see the person next to you. So the light penetrated the dark, so as to emulate what happened in the beginning of Genesis, where there was just a formless consciousness, inchoate, without form, a large, vast, if you will, gigantic magnitude of energy field. And then it said, "Let there be light," and the light penetrates into the dark, and there you see now what's available, what's existing in this inchoate, formless consciousness. You begin to see the appearance of objects, of things. That's how the created world came into existence, the light penetrating into the dark. So it is with us that we are able to penetrate the darkness of consciousness and find out what's available to us, what resides there for us, and to see what's present in that other world or in those other worlds. They, in turn, by reflection, reveal to us what's there for us, and they give us to understand who we are, what we are, as I've been getting on to teach you in this talk. that we learn to read the languages that are revealed to us, which are not verbal. They're images. And so this divine language is made present to us. The more light that expands through us, the more is revealed. If I give you a flashlight, you turn it on, well, more is revealed to you than the pen light did. If I give you a very larger halogen light, you'll see more. If I give you a large searchlight, you'll see more. The larger the light, the more is revealed. It's not that it hasn't been there, it's always been there. It's a matter of your light turning on to reveal consciousness, to reveal to you. It's a matter of you turning on your light to the greatest extent that you can. The more and more you do that, the more and more is revealed to you about you. So it's a matter of you becoming a light being. Spiritual life is to become a spiritual being of light. When we penetrate into this inner darkness, this realm of existence that's there for us to explore with our light and to use the lights that are available to us. As imagination is, in one regard, an inner light, we find that there's a storehouse consciousness. This storehouse consciousness is the repository of all the knowledge that exists for us about ourselves and about the world and about the universe. This storehouse consciousness is entered when we shine our light on it and gives to us its information. This is the repository where everything is. Let's say someone is dreaming of water, clear blue water. Now, what qualities make up the earth? The ancients said air, earth, water, and fire. These are the four constitutive elements out of which all creation comes in the form of chemical components such as hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon, the four basic chemical elements that make up all living matter. Suppose you have a dream about water. What is the analogy to water as it was understood from the ancient days till now as direct reflections and connections between the two? Emotions, birth, creation, expanding life, yin, cleansing, refreshing, movement. Because life comes out of water, the form comes out of the function. You're dreaming about water and you can begin to draw analogies to be able to read the image. Ultimately, in doing this work, you move away from explanations, coming from attachment to the material life and to what you know and to associations of the past, and you move to a more spiritual dimension and understanding. This is taking place because you're reversing the direction from material, visible life to the invisible life. As you move to the invisible, you're moving away from quantity back into quality. You're moving into function, moving into invisibility. This is your spiritual move. So you're on the verge of a spiritual breakthrough. When we speak about non-attachment or detachment, reversing our relationship to our attachment to the physical world, our attitudes toward it, having to become caught up in it, understand that we don't mean emotional disconnect. A woman named Adele told me that the night her father died on the other side of the country, she dreamt he came to her and kissed her, and upon awakening felt his absence. Her brother called her not long after to tell her that her father died. But how could this be? Adele lived in the now. She's a human being. She's not God. Yet in this eternal now, it's the present moment that comes apparent to her that her father is dying or is dead. So in essence, when you're emotionally connected to somebody, you'll have responses knowing about that person. You'll read that person. You'll know about that person. As I mentioned earlier, I dreamt about my father's death 3 days before he died. The dream of another's death is legitimate communication. We're all connected as people created in the image and likeness of God. So for Adele, she and her father were of such emotional connection that for her, he was coming to tell her about his next stage of movement. It's very nice for you to study this, to learn more about death. And it's very important to understand about death because when we correct the moral usurpation, when we correct the moral errors that we're making, when we do correct ourselves and make the corrections that are necessary for us, we bring to ourselves the possibility for eternal life. That's meant as a fact in the Western spiritual tradition. It's not a metaphor. We mean concretely eternal life. Doing the corrections is the major focus of our life work in our spiritual quest. You either take action or not. Either you do or you don't. Dreams give you the prompting for an action to take, as has been mentioned. If you learn to read the language, if you learn to read it, you'll learn to take the action and be prompted to do so and what action to take. The more you learn to read this language, the more apt you are to use the stuff we've been talking about to let it inform your everyday life. And know that when you're taking the action that the dream is informing you about, you're taking this action from an inner process, from the place of truth. The dream helps us to grow up. Growing up is taking actions that are valuable and productive and beneficial for us and for others. Growing up means to become more and more cognizant and aware. As we grow in this way, as we grow in this way, we are able to become our own teacher. We are our own experts because everything we find in the world that's disturbing gives us the opportunity to correct it. All the difficulties that confront us are actually a gift, a practice ground where we can act to correct the errors that it's showing us that we've made in our lives. We can discreate, we can create. We can discreate what troubles us, we can create the corrections to right us, to put us in correct order, and to put us on a direct path of life. In doing so, we become our own authority. We become a law unto ourselves. Learning to use the dreams in this way I have suggested affords you that opportunity. Love and blessings.